Shalom, 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 family. My name is Yehudia Zion. I am from yatruth.com. I want to introduce my website to you all if you haven't seen it already. It's kind of like a history, current event, like scripture blog, so to speak. It's gonna like have a variety of topics covered, and I wanted to find a way to organize and communicate what I am learning, and the Most High led me to start a website. I pray that this website can be a blessing for you all as it has been for me. I'm not sure about you all, but I come across so much information that I struggle with organizing my notes. So hopefully people that are coming into the knowledge and understanding of the truth and who are avid researchers will find some use in the information on this blog, that it will be organized in a way that you can go back and reference it whenever you need to. Brief introduction about myself. I I'm not really directly affiliated with any particular organization. I ethnically identify as Israelite. I'm not one who really engages or participate in organized religious organizations, only because, not that I'm knocking them, I'm just very careful about how I move in this walk. I visited a couple of places, I met some nice people, but due to the things that I've been through during my years in Christianity, I just choose to just kind of like focus more on y'all this go round in this phase of my life, because I spent my younger years being heavily involved in group religious organizations, and I found personally that they can be a bit distracting. So on from that, this website is going to cover a various amount of topics, and I wanted to make videos about what is covered because sometimes I felt the need that I wanted to elaborate on some things as I was writing these articles, but I didn't want the articles to be so long that people didn't finish them. So I figured that, yeah, I would make videos covering the articles. That way I could just elaborate for those who wouldn't mind listening to it or watching it on YouTube. So here we go. A little bit more about me. I came into the knowledge and understanding of my Israelite ethnicity around middle school. My mom came and taught us Deuteronomy 28. I read the Bible a lot when I was younger. I sure did. I read the whole Bible. And then somewhere over the years in my 20s, I kind of drifted away due to some church scandal situations that I was encountering. I kind of distanced myself from religious order, and then I went kind of worldly for a few years, and then I kind of started slowly slowing down and coming back into a more calm lifestyle and focus on my relationship with the Most High Yah. And that's where I've been for the last several years. So a lot of this information that everybody's learned right now is not particularly new to me as far as scriptures go, but the history aspect of it was definitely new to me, because back when I was, in middle school, which was over 25 years ago, don't want to give my age out, but I guess I just did. Internet wasn't really popping like that in the 90s. It really wasn't. So like the only way you will learn certain things is if you knew some Muslims or some Israelites to get it from. And my mom just like a suburban lady. She didn't really know nobody like that. So the most I just told her, when she was studying the Bible, who she was. But other than that, we never really met any other like real Israelites. And then in my late 20s, I began to encounter more Israelites. When I was, partying in the conscious community, we used, have those open mic nights and stuff. Met quite a few Israelites during my party days and club promoting days and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't like really those kind of, people that was like really serious about their spiritual journey. So it's still like there was no growth in like knowing those type of people. It's just partying with a purpose. That's what I used to hear all the time. But from that, as I got a little older and I went through so many trials and tribulations to the point that it reached a peak that I had a spiritual reawakening, and the Most High moved my ruach to start researching, studying. And by then, the internet was popping a little bit more back then, as well as YouTube was starting to take up speed, and that really helped speed up the process. As far as pointing me in the right directions in research and things of that nature. So without being too wordy, since this is my first video, I just didn't want everybody to be like, who this chick all of a sudden, with this website making these videos, who you rolling with? You know how Israelites is, what set you from? What camp? We I communicate with a lot of Israelites on social media, so it's not like I'm like a recluse, like I don't know anything, and I already know like somebody gonna be like, who is this woman talking? But fall back a little bit and you might learn something. So, all right, we're gonna go over my first video on this site. Is going to be over my latest article called "Is Ice Cube Leading ADOS in Spiritual Warfare Against the Edomite Serpent Kingdom?" I know this name Edomite is going to trigger a lot of Hebrews, but to me there is no debate, and anybody who's denying who the Edomites are at this point probably is not going to understand a whole lot of the prophecies in the Bible at this point. But you just pray for your brothers and sisters, and pray that they can make the connections, and have an open heart to receive the connections that are being made. I'm not one of those kind of people that follow a lot of celebrity issues. I think a lot of them are distractions and overly shared and overly trended and all that kind of stuff. But only reason why I cared about the Nick Cannon and Ice Cube situation was because it was relating to the Israelite movement. Back when Nick Cannon was taking a lot of heat, at the same time during those same weeks, Ice Cube was tweeting all kinds of stuff. I mean, he wasn't even backing down either. And the powers that be couldn't really do nothing to him, because like he said in one interview I heard, he is not an employee. He kind of runs everything that he's involved with, so nobody can fire him. So he has made a lot of money being an entertainer for the last 30 years, and it's his duty to speak up about the things that he's always had on his heart now that he's older. And I can respect that. I'm not one of those kind of people that like to accuse everybody of being in the Illuminati and compromise and all that kind of stuff. But I will say this about Ice Cube. He didn't just come out from nowhere talking like this. I mean, he basically kick-started his career like coming for the oppressors. I mean, F the police and all that kind of stuff, and affiliated with the Nation of Islam, who has always been very vocal against white supremacy. So I'm not gonna say he's an agent. I'm not going that route with it. As far as compromise and influence, I don't know the brother like that. I'm pretty sure he does know a lot of important people, and I just pray that he doesn't make Black people look bad now that he's speaking on such Black issues. And the only thing I can do is pray for the brother and appreciate what he's doing. Anyway, so is he leading ADOS in spiritual warfare? The reason why I use the hashtag ADOS, because I love that hashtag. Honestly, it perfectly describes what this whole movement is all about. Even the Israelite awakening to the reparations, cut the check, hashtag ADOS movement. It all has to do with foundational Black people who were the ones that built this country up, the descendants of slaves, the descendants of the ones that the colonizers kidnapped and brought over here. We are the ones who really feel like we've gotten the short end of the stick in the world. Everyone in the world has basically built themselves up off the backs of the work that America got from our ancestors. And at the end of the day, the Black Americans are some of the most discriminated against, the most discriminated against and economically disadvantaged class in the world. And I say that because even At this point, Hispanics are doing better than Black people, because I know for a fact a lot of the Black construction companies in Atlanta have gone out of the business because, you know, a lot of the contractors are using Mexicans, and Mexicans undercut the prices of everything, to the point that a lot of Black construction companies just kind of fizzled away after a period of time. And so they work so hard and so much that as a community, Mexicans have built up a significant amount of structure for themselves. They pull all their money together and buy cars and houses, and they get their citizenship together. And I don't know if they get their citizenship together or not, but they definitely are renting nice places and driving nice cars, and they appear to be doing pretty well for themselves. They never really seem very unemployed. And so that leaves a significant portion of the Black men that could be working in construction, you know, unemployed. And I think that's unfortunate. So even like immigrants are doing better than Black people. I just brought all that. I'm not trying to bash, you know, Hispanics and stuff like that, because, you know, everybody's all up in the air about whether or not they're Israelites or whatever. But I'm just looking from a racial ethnic standpoint, that being that they have come here as immigrants, and they've already surpassed the Black community. So that's the reason why I love ADOS. This whole situation with all these Black people speaking up and speaking out is spiritual warfare against the Edomite Serpent Kingdom. You know, the Edomites, I'm not going to say every white person is an Edomite. That's not the kind of energy I roll with. I would say more or less the ruling class of our oppressors are definitely Edomites, only because their lineage, they tend to mix and intermingle and intermix their bloodline amongst one another. The elite. Regular white people, you can never tell. You know why? Because there was a lot of biracial people that used to pass for white and marry white, especially in the previous generations. So a lot of people that appear to be white have Black grandfathers and grandmothers they don't even know about. So, you know, genotype, phenotype are two different things. Your phenotype is your physical appearance. Your genotype is your genes. So somebody could physically look white, but all of their ancestors in an entire bloodline, the millions of people that have combined to create this present person that you see, 98% of them could be Black, and it could have been the last 3 or 4 generations that mixed in with white. So, you know, when you look at it, if most of your ancestors was Black up into the last couple of generations, it's kind of hard to like tell who's an Edomite or who's not. So I focus my attention to the powerful ones, the ones at the top. Your everyday Becky, Karen, Joe, and Fred and Ted walking down the street in the grocery store. I'm not really studying that because they're not a threat to me. I'm talking about the ones at the top in government in these kingdoms and stuff. Definitely are Edomites, and you'll see why. So starting this article out with Revelations 18:2. And this is a verse that has always stood out to me in my mind, and I just didn't want to really deal with it until I was 100% sure what it was all about. And it says, "And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babel the great is fallen, and is become the habitations of devils, and the hole of every foul ruach, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird." That's Revelations 18:2. I found myself pondering this verse for years, asking y'all for deeper revelations. Ask and ye shall receive, the word says. Well, I asked and waited patiently for a clear answer, because I am not the type to believe anything unless it makes 100% sense. And that's probably like what gets a lot of people in trouble. They trust a religious leader so much that they literally feed off of every word out of their mouth, instead of, you know, taking the time and energy to learn the word for themselves so that they can make a comparison. You know, you can't really read the Bible like every now and then, but listen to a teacher, you know, every week and think you're going to get anywhere. No, it takes a lot of diligence, 7 days a week in the word, to be able to build and build your critical thinking skills up enough to understand what is being discerned in the word. And you can't be a lazy scholar. That's one of my pet peeves is lazy scholarship. And you can't sit back and wait for somebody to spoon feed you information. So do not vote. I like this meme because it's pretty a bold statement. Most people outside of the awakening, they hate when you say this. But me, I'm very confident in saying that only because my opinions about voting are now biblically based. It's not even emotional at this point. It's not even about not liking people. It's just like wanting to follow the word of Yah to the T. And as it turns out, when you follow the word of Yah, it keeps you out of a lot of mess. So Deuteronomy 17 and 15, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom Yahuwah thy Elohim shall choose. One from among thy brothers shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. So this scripture is broke up into three parts. Part one is basically saying that the Yahuwah, your Elohim, shall choose who is your king. There's no elections. There's no campaigning. There's no primaries. Think about like when he started anointing kings. He sent the prophet Samuel, to David and say, hey, you're the one that the Most High has chosen. You know what I mean? And that was just it. He knows what's best for us because he don't judge from, like it's the word say, he don't judge from the outer appearance. He judging according to his heart. And as a human being, it's really hard to know somebody's heart at a distance. Even at a close proximity amongst your close family, friends, or anybody, it's really hard to really know what's in somebody's heart. You know how they act like what's in their heart, but only the Most High knows exactly what's in somebody's heart. That's why he wanted be the one who choose our king. So the second section says, one from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. So not only is Most High is supposed to be the one set your king over you, but he also says, stipulated that the king must be among your own kind, your brethren shall your king be. So that eliminates like almost most people on the ticket, unless you live somewhere very black, like Houston, Atlanta or something like that. You're not really going to find many of your own people on the ticket. So that's another reason not to vote. And section 3 of this verse says, thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. So he like made it completely clear, like it is not cool. It's not like you should not set a stranger, or if there's no other choice, don't set a stranger, or the lesser of two evils, as everybody like to say, set a stranger over you, or to get this guy out to put the other guy in. No, just follow the word. And it says, thou mayest not set a stranger over thee. May not, like do not do it. Like you may not do it. Like no permission. Permission denied, who is not your brother. So I mean, straightforward. Keeps you out of a lot of foolishness when you read the word a lot, y'all, right? So why should we be complicit in our own oppression? Why is it left up to us to legitimize an illegitimate, wicked system? It is written that we are not to set kings over us who are not of our own people, because these ruling class of heathens have literally descended from serpent kings. And the Most High knows that. They have a place. They have a place in the world. Their place is to be the checks and balances of the world. When we get out of balance with the Most High Yah, he takes down that wall of protections over us, and here come the heathens running amok, in our camps, in our cities, and in our families, and all kinds of stuff have happened. As soon as we as a people unite and start living a more righteous lifestyle, you will start seeing that they won't have access to our people like that. Look at all these unarmed shootings that these heathens have been doing against our people. I know it hurts to see our brothers to be killed like that. It really does hurt. But I don't know, maybe if you do a little research in their lifestyle, they may not have been doing nothing that day. But I mean, were they keeping the commandments? You know what I'm saying? Was they praying and meditating all the time? Were they just living their life and doing them? You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you are covered by the Most High Yah, you just ain't gonna just get killed like that by no heathen for no reason. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you want to be protected in behind enemy lines, you gonna need to have a covering over you like David had. Okay, David had a lot of enemies. He was surrounded by heathens trying to kill him his whole life, and he died at a ripe old age. You know what I mean? And I could say for myself, when I started like taking my relationship with y'all more seriously, people was not able to just come and run shot over my life. I stopped having so many, things happening to me all the time. My life got so much peaceful, and I realized, oh, this is what it's all about. He protects you from even your worst enemies when you keep his commandments. You know what I'm saying? It would be amazing to see how blessed our people would be if we all start keeping the Sabbath. If you just all at least kept the Sabbath in the dietary law and leave these holidays alone, a heathen couldn't just pull you over and blow your brains out. You understand what I'm saying? So, you just got to do your part, because the heathens are put here as like I said, checks and balances. They're the bad cops. The Most High sends them in to stir things up. And hopefully, after so many generations of it being bad, our people are like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I digress. Um, so like I said, I awakened to my Israelite heritage years ago. Since then, prophecies have been unfolding year by year. Nevertheless, no year can top 2020 as far as weird things going on. I mean, things have always been going on. We had 9/11. We had before I was born, the Vietnam Wars and World War IIs and all that kind of stuff. But it's something about ever since 9/11, a lot of stuff has been happening, as far as like destruction of Syria and Damascus. And then, the whole destruction of the Middle East was very prophetic. And then like in the last few years, people have been seeing a lot more phenomenon in the sky. I myself have even seen it. So yeah, it's a lot of things going on. Is this pandemic, this pandemic, the wars, the rumors of wars, race riots, natural disasters, an antichrist type presidential puppet, being an attention whore, saying ridiculous stuff every day, testing everyone's nerves. I don't really watch that, so I catch that stuff on the fly, on the side stream. Like if I just go through my news feed or something, I might see a clip in the corner of my eye, but I don't just sit around just watching the news all day. That stuff will drive you crazy, seeing what these heathens got going on. And now, of all things that is weird to me, this whole Black Lives Matter protest and world protest over Black people all of a sudden, that was strange. And of course, there was a lot of symbolism behind that. That was a ritual. That was an energy harvesting ritual. I posted about that months ago. I might do a article about that. And then now reparation is taking center stage in the last few weeks of the election. So funny meme. These folks, these Negroes think their vote matter. Ha ha ha. We're being pressured into voting and we are forgotten until we are used the next election season. Decade after decade, our voices aren't heard because voting doesn't equal policy change. Because it really doesn't. So let's get on about this whole Ice Cube thing. Most people are kind of like, they just kind of like, what's going on with Ice Cube? They might watch a 1 or 2 minute clip, but they don't really see the whole situation. So like I said, Ice Cube has always been off the chain. He just kind of flew under the radar because the media don't really like come for him like that, because they know he has nothing to lose. So they don't want to create like a media war with somebody who has nothing to lose, because a Black man with nothing to lose is a dangerous thing. So they kind of like been trying to like sweep it under the rug. So I was really shocked during the Nick Cannon situation. He was tweeting all kind of stuff. The Jews was Black, da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Synagogue of Satan. Just all kinds of stuff. He was just like going off. I'm like, dang. What's the cancel culture for Cube? They can't cancel him because everything he does is his, production company, and he's not a part of no kind of show they could take away from. So what can they do to the brother besides murk him? And and speaking of murking him, he actually said in an interview, he's like, yeah, I know I'm risking my life doing all this. You know what I'm saying? But the way I see it, it's not even worth. I don't even want to be here on this earth if I can't get, move the needle for my people or something to that effect. Just like he said, shoot, this being here ain't even worth it if I can't deliver my people. And that's what we've been missing in the Black community for like decades. Brothers who like just don't give a flip. Like they gonna charge at these heathens 100%, regardless, regardless of, whether they lose their life or not. But when we get all these uppity Negroes with all these huge purses, they scared to say a peep. They get the button lip when it comes to these heathens. And just like, wow, we only got all these rich black people in the world. We got all these doctors, lawyers. We got all these politicians. We got celebrities all over the place. We got movie stars. We got rich black people all over the country, way more than we had 50 years, 60 years ago during the civil rights movement. Why can't we get at least one of them to use their social media platform to plead a case for black people? It's just like as soon as they get the media assassins come after them, they shut the hell up. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't get it. But anyway, this interview is with Willie D. He's a retired rapper from the Ghetto Boys, and he has a really nice platform. So shout out to Willie D Live on YouTube. He did an interview with the Ice Cube with Ice Cube, and it was like really great. This is just one of many interviews he's had. I've seen, a lot of videos. One of the first ones I saw from him once he started speaking out was on Dr. Boyce's show, and he's done quite a few interviews, and he also did one on CNN. So we're gonna go ahead and play this right quick, about 7 or 8 minutes of it. So here we go.
In states on an equal basis instead of paid by local property taxes. That's big. Black representation on all government civil rights bodies. Civil rights classes mandatory in elementary schools. Gerrymandering reform. Additional polling places in Black and minority neighborhoods. Juneteenth to become a federal
He's just
holiday.
listing some of the things in the contract for
That's
Black
good stuff,
America. Let
man.
me fast
Who?
forward a little bit when Ice Cube starts talking.
Helping with a section. We're looking for black women to help us. We got a professor out of UCLA, or she went to UCLA to come help us with the women's section. So it's a document that's growing and
He's
that's
talking about the contract
kind
for
of,
Black America.
going to continue to grow and get better. When we put it together, we didn't think, oh, this is it. Nah, this is over. Let's just run with it. We knew we want to hook up with experts. We knew we want to hook up with grassroots organizations who have been doing this work. And we wanted to magnify or amplify their message by using celebrity status here and there. So, we've been doing what we need to do to connect the dots. It's not just me running around popping off. It's me
Mhm.
connecting with people who've spent their life doing this work, and they haven't been getting recognition. They haven't been getting heard. The work has been gone sitting on the shelf, and these are things that can help us. We're not in this condition because we can't get it together. We're in this condition because it's designed and it's you know, kind of like worked on to make sure the condition stays the same.
Yeah,
It's worked on every day to keep us where we at.
yeah. I want to salute you, man, for working with all of those other people, man. Dr. Claude Anderson is one of the greatest minds of our lifetime.
Yes.
To be able to work with that guy, I mean, just to sit at the table with that guy and suck up the knowledge that he has. I know, and I know you. You're a listener first. People know you for your message. They know you for the movies and stuff, but they don't know that before you can put a message out, you have to first listen and gather information, and you do that well. Um, how much interference from the outside, and that means like it might be black gatekeepers also, are you experiencing when you're trying to get this thing going?
Well, you got passionate people who have picked a side that they really want to win, and so they're gonna do whatever it takes to make sure their side wins, and that's oppose anything that's outside the norm. Anybody who so-called steps out of line or doesn't stay in their lane, as they say. Um, of course they're gonna attack. This is their job, to really, make sure that their candidate gets in. We understood that. I've been, paying attention to politics since I was a teenager. So I understand it very well, the ins and outs, and how things get done. I understand how bills get introduced, and how they get passed. And, what people don't really focus on is the implication of that bill, how they put it in place, how they implement it. And
Mm.
so that's really what it's all about. It's taking it in the stage that it's in. Right now, we got demands. People say they're gonna do a lot when they get elected. Now it's up to holding them to them demands, and then try to get a bill passed. And after you get a bill passed, you push and see what are they doing in government to make sure the money gets in the hands of the people that it's promised to, and it doesn't get siphoned off by private businesses who partner with the government so they can siphon off this money. So it's a lot of work to be done. I'm not naive, and we're prepared to go to mile.
So what do we do? Let's say it works. Let's say that some candidate decides that, you know what, I do really do respect that black vote and I want it. So I want to give you guys some of the things that you're saying, that you're asking for. Let's say we get them elected, and then you turn around and once they get in, they don't do what they say they're going to do. What's the plan to get them out?
Well, I think it depends on who gets in there. But of course, you have to hit them with daily reminders, criticism on what they're
Right.
not getting done, even if they're your candidate. We tend to look at it like we're on a team, and if they win, we just ride with them, even if they bad players, or even if they don't do what they're supposed to do. They on our team, so we gonna ride with them. We can't do
Right.
that. We got to correct people, hold people accountable. They got to be damn near scared of us coming more than they scared of the other side. So that's just it. We have to approach it in a different way. Usually, when our candidate win, we just want to party, have fun. Can't wait till somebody invite somebody to the White House to perform and whatever, all that kind of stuff, and parties and all that stuff. We need to get on policy, um, and push policy and make sure policy works.
Yeah. I do recognize that there's a lot of individualism out there, people looking for the shine. You got the people that do want to be invited to the parties. They don't want to miss some. They want to be in the in crowd. So that's why I ask you about that blocking, those gatekeepers, because I know, running for office right here in Houston, that, it tends to be people that look like us that get offended when guys like me or you come into this type of space. We're considered outsiders, and because they know we really ain't playing no games, because we could do other things. We're not coming in here for star power or star activity or whatever. We're not trying to get no shine. I mean, we can do many other things, but when I see people like us come into this space, I know it's genuine. Um, it just seems like to me, and I'm gonna tell you something. I do respect all of those people out there who spend their life, who do this every day. I mean, these people that are out there on the front lines every single day, and they're trying to push that policy, and they're going to Congress every day. They're calling senators and congressmen and trying to get at the president. Those people deserve a great amount of respect, and I think the ones who get it. But also, it seems like to me there's been some jealousy going on, because you were able to cause a lot of attention with your plan, but it's like they're not respecting that. You built yourself a platform to be able to do something like this, and that's to be respected. I just feel like that a lot of the gatekeepers have a problem with you because you didn't ask for permission. But what man
Yeah,
does? You ask the
yeah,
Democrats, you have a plan for Biden if he wins. But what is your plan if Trump wins? And hey, man, that hit like a ton of bricks. That's the thing that we have not been able to do. Like we get our guy in and we think it's all good for 4 to 8 years. And then when our guy loses, we ass out for the next 4 to 8 years, but life goes on. Those bills don't stop coming. Every 30 days, the bill gonna come no matter what. So we gotta live and we gotta thrive and survive no matter what, no matter who's in office. So I'm with you on that 100%. What percentage of that contract with Black America was infused with Trump's platinum plan?
I mean, he used a few different things.
All right, I'm gonna fast forward to just a few minutes at the end, and then we're gonna move on. But as you can see, before I move on, he just have like a very direct, plain, organic way of just discussing Black people's issues. We don't have a voice like that. We just have like a bunch of uppity Negroes, kind of like bowing down to white supremacy, scared to open their mouths for improving the Black community, or either that, or they're just talking heads and they're not really pushing anything. They're just a bunch of Negroes happy to have a job. And, we don't need people like that. We don't need employees looking for to keep their job. We need people that are just like unapologetically, only for pushing the agenda of, um, the Black community. You're not going to get your full redemption out of these heathens, but we could get a whole lot more than what we're getting right now. You know, taking a back seat and keeping your nose in a Bible 24/7 is not what the Most High woke you up for. You have to actively engage in your surroundings and making the land safe for you and your family until your redemption come. You can't just hide out like that. What kind of world are we leaving for our children if we just hide out with our nose in the Bible, scared to engage with what's going on, at times? So nobody's telling nobody to run the street to do nothing crazy. But, if you see somebody who has the platform to speak to mainstream media about Black issues, we don't want to become a forgotten class of people and everything's always constantly swept under the rug. So let's move on.
Sitting on the toilet eating some Kentucky Fried Chicken and some drinking some Coca Cola. That's all. He doesn't. You make him a one-term president. Period. Like like he's basically really getting a bunch of love, in my opinion, that he did not earn. That's the way I feel. But when I look at both of these guys, end of the day, man, I know both of them, man, but this damn dude, this other dude, this tangerine tornado dude, I'm telling you, man, this dude is the devil personified. I mean, the devil actually holler at him daily, like, hey, what you doing? Hey, yeah, man, I ain't doing nothing. What sitting on the toilet, eating some Kentucky Fried Chicken and some drinking some Coca Cola. That's all. Man, hey man, do you have any regrets that you got up in this thing? Did you think this thing was going to be uh, as intense as it is right now? Did you think, as far as the backlash? I know that you knew it was going to be an uphill battle. It was a fight, but did you think that you were going to receive such a lashing, in your terms, lashing, from
Ain't nobody lashing me.
where they
Lashing days is over.
verbally lashing you, verbally.
I mean, I knew people would come out the woodwork saying things. I have no regrets. I'm not doing this for personal gain. I'm doing this to help move the needle. I'm doing this to make sure we're not being taken for granted. I'm doing this to make sure that we push people in power to do what they supposed to do. If Joe Biden gets in there, I'll be in his face too. They promised that I can be in there after they win, so I'm not gonna not take them up on that. So, I'm just pushing anybody to get in there. I have no regrets. I knew that it would be a backlash, so to speak, um, about doing this, but I wasn't worried about that to the point where it would stop me from doing it. I knew I
Mhm.
could just tell what I did and articulate my position. And I think people that sharp enough can understand the nuances on what I'm doing and what I did. And at the end of the day, everybody gonna be in that booth by themselves. They're gonna fill out that ballot, and they're gonna have to do what they conscience tell them to do. It ain't on who I tell you to vote for, or 50 Cent, or Ludacris, or anybody else telling people to vote. I don't even know if he's telling people to vote, but I just pulled a name. It don't matter. Just you still gotta just be informed. Look at all this information that's flying around. Soak it up, absorb it, and make a decision.
Activate.
Yeah,
Man,
make it happen.
I would be remiss to have your undivided attention and have all of these
Okay, we're gonna
people.
stop the
Uh,
video right there. They just went into some little concluding remarks after that point. So I was saying, it takes a pretty righteous man who knows exactly who he is to be able to take the heat that this brother is taking without caving and folding. You kind of like have to not only know who you are, but you have to have that warrior spirit in you, and as a brother to just fight for your manhood. And you don't really even have to be overly aggressive, as you can see, in order to push your point. You just can't be all that extra smiling. As you see, he ain't cracked like hardly no smiles, even when he's getting interviewed by his friends. So apart from that, if you want to just look up some of the interviews surrounding this situation, and just kind of familiarize yourself what's going on if you're more interested in it. But my thing is, I don't really follow celebrities like that. Only reason why I followed this is because it was like really kind of like outspoken, like awakened, is like Israelite-ish, celebrity. I don't know how serious he is about it, but I'm just saying he's like in the mainstream media. And then I was just thinking about the lion and the eagle prophecy in Second Esdras, how at the last days they said a lion will rise up and it will start rebuking the eagle for his wickedness. And that's what even when you look at him, he kind of looked like a lion. But that's kind of like what the lions are rising up. Or like if you go on any kind of Israelites social media page or YouTube channel, it's just rebuking the eagle all day. I know I do it 24/7. I'm rebuking the eagle. And brothers like this reminds me of that prophecy. So that's the only reason why I cared. I don't really get down with celebrity topics like that. That's not what this channel is going to really be about, unless something pops up every now and then pertaining to biblical prophecy. So let's see how he checked this. He even Chris Cuomo on CNN. So like he was initially given an invitation to interview at CNN, and then the invitation was withdrawn, and he was really pissed about that. It was canceled at the last minute because I guess they didn't want to touch the whole situation because he was being so outspoken, and he kind of called him out on Twitter, and then so he got a re-invitation, and this was the interview. So it kind of like the interview kind of began a little hostile because the interviewer, Chris Cuomo, he kind of led in with an introduction before putting him on the screen with like some very misleading comments about him, basically calling him like a Trump surrogate or something, like a Trump supporter. And he was like, "What? Hold up, whoa, pump your brakes." So he just checked that heathen at the gate, and I liked it. So this kind of like gives you a playbook on how to, these heathens.
Our next guest is Ice Cube. If you know anything about him, and you probably do, you know he started his career rapping in defiance about police presence and the realities of inner city life. And he got political with his songs as well recently during the Trump administration, most recently in 2018. Here's a taste.
Arrest the president. You got the evidence. That is Russian intelligence.
Now we see a shift. Now he wants to work with President Trump. Here's what the president had to say most recently about Black Lives Matter.
The first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, I said, that's such a terrible term because it's such a racist term. It's a term that sows division between blacks and whites and everybody else, and it's a very bad term for blacks. But they were very angry. It's a Marxist organization.
With all that going on and how the president continues to speak about there being no systemic inequality, it's no shock that Ice Cube got some heat for deciding to work with the Trump administration. He wants to deal with it. I want to understand it. So should you. So here is Ice Cube on Prime Time. Thank you for taking the opportunity, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Chris, your lead-ins are a little misleading.
How so?
Well, the Platinum Plan is not my plan. I came up with the Contract with Black America, and I didn't run to go work with any campaign. Both campaigns contacted me. Both campaigns wanted to talk to me about the Contract with Black America. One campaign said, we love what you have, but let's really dig into it after the election. And one campaign said, we love what you have. Do you mind talking to us about it? And that's what I did. So I didn't run to nobody. And so that was real misleading to me.
Well, I didn't say you ran to anybody. I said that you had taken a pivot.
Well, you said I ran over to the Trump team instead of the Biden team. That's just not true.
Well, but you are working
contacted
with the
me.
Trump team instead of the Biden team, and people giving you heat for it. What do you say to them?
Well, I'm willing to work with both teams, but I'm just working with whoever is willing to work with me. So the Trump campaign came to me and asked me to explain to them some of the Contract with Black America. That's what I did. I'm not playing no more of these games, these political games. We're not part of a team. We have very broad problems, especially the wealth gap in this country when it comes to Black Americans. So I'm going to whoever's in power, and I'm going to speak to them about our problems specifically. I'm not going there talking about minorities. I'm not going there talking about people of color or diversity or none of that stuff. I'm going there for Black Americans, the ones who are the descendants of slaves. And that's what I'm going to talk to anybody who's in power with that. So if anybody got a problem with that, it seems like a personal problem.
Well, here's the problem, and it is very personal, as you know, for a lot of people of color, because they'll say, well, why would you pick Trump when he says there's no such thing as systemic inequality? Say again?
I'm not picking nobody. He's the president.
But why do you think he'd want to do something for the community when he says there's no such thing as systemic inequality?
I don't know what he want to do. I just know what the man said. I know what he said to the country. I've never met Donald Trump. So I don't know what he's going to do. I just know what he said he was going to do. So both of them have a plan. Both of them say they're going to do something. And who knows what's really going to happen after November 3rd. Nobody knows from each side. We're all hoping that candidates keep their campaign promises. So that's just it.
So let's look at it this way. I think that you're right to be skeptical. Let's start with the Democrats, because even though there is a traditional connection between black voters and the Democrats, you could also say you've been let down or forgotten by Democrats in a lot of situations that would have mattered. Then you say, all right, so then what makes one side better than the other? That's where you get in trouble, which is, do you really think that Donald Trump can be trusted as much as you could trust Joe Biden?
I don't think I'm not trusting any of them. I'm just going by action. That's all I'm going by. I'm not going by words. I'm not going by rhetoric, not going by media spin, not going by none of that. You know, I'm not on nobody's team. I'm not on Team Blue, not on Team Red.
So then I have that wrong.
Hold on, I'm an independent person, and I believe that's what black people need to do, is become independent, and we need to get something for our vote. You know, that may not happen, but it's gonna happen.
It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Look, if I had brought you here to fight with you, you would have known it. What I'm saying is, I think I did get it wrong, and I want to make sure I get it right. So saying you're working with the Trump team is wrong. What you did was, when they asked to talk to you about it, you said yes. If Biden had asked to talk to you about it now, you would have gone to them the same way. It's not about you choosing anything. It's you working with everybody who's got a chance of doing anything. Is that
I'm
right?
working with whoever's in power. Yeah, I'll work with both. Whoever's in power, I'm going to work with. So whoever wins, they'll hear from me.
Okay, so I'm glad you
frequently.
came to clear it up. So Ice Cube is not with the Trump campaign. He's just given his ideas, and anybody who wants to do something with him, fine. Do you believe they are doing anything with your ideas?
I believe, they looked at the contract with Black America and they updated their plan, but it's their plan. Now, I have my plan. My plan is broad. It goes beyond the public sector. It goes into the private sector, banks, even the movie industry. So we got to deal with a lot of different, I think, companies, corporations, and even government when it comes to solving this problem. I believe it's a non bipartisan problem. Uh, I believe it's a bipartisan problem when it comes to the issues when it comes to blacks in America and what's going on. It's not a Democrat problem. It's not for them to solve. It's not for the Republicans to solve. It's for both of them to solve. They do it when it comes to debt ceiling. They do it when it comes to getting us in wars. They seem to come together when it's something that really affects America. And I don't think nothing affects America more than the situation that Black Americans find ourselves in. This country is coming apart at the seams, and it's not going to come together after January 3rd, no matter who's the president, unless we deal with this wealth gap.
You have the economics. All of it extends from poverty, which is an extension of opportunity, which is an extension of a system that doesn't give equal opportunity, and you see it everywhere. Hiring, education, finance, all of it. So acutely, we've been looking at what happens when policing goes wrong in communities. It doesn't give you concern that the president has handled police violence the way he has in terms of his commitment to work on any of the issues that you think are important?
We've been dealing with police violence in this country from day one. So police violence is just part of our life here. So, the thing is this, once we get some capital, we'll be treated better. This is a capitalistic society.
True.
And if you ain't got no money, you see how people get treated on the streets when they ain't got no money.
Not just money, wealth. Wealth. You got to be able to build up wealth within the community.
Yeah, to put it in greater terms. But, at the bottom line is, dollars bring dignity. And so everybody in America knows that. When you got a little more money, they treat you a little better. So we need to close this wealth gap. You got people, families making $120,000 or worth $120,000. And you got
Okay, so you get the gist of the interview. He, like I said, he stood his ground in a humble and powerful way. He was not really playing around with this guy and all his little media spins and mind games and stuff like that, and that's to be greatly appreciated. So, brother Ice Cube, after the disappointment of seeing Nick Cannon fold the way he did, it was really kind of refreshing to see a black man, stand up for himself. You know, Ice Cube wasn't always rich. He remembers being poor and being black, and he remembers police brutality. So, regardless of what kind of heathens are, back in his business ventures and whatnot, and there's a lot of theories about, one of his business partners is a Trump supporter and best friends with Steve Bannon. Like, let me tell you something. I wouldn't care who his best friend was, or like if he was cutting a check to invest in my business. How many people would turn down money from a Trump supporter who wanted to invest in invest in your business? So business and politics is separate, and the higher you get to the top, the more diverse your business circle gets. Just because somebody's your business a venture capitalist making business investment like Shark Tank. You go on Shark Tank with your invention. You're going to turn down money from one of the panelists because they're a Trump supporter? Heck no. They offer you $1 million to invest in your company. You taking it. And like he said, Black people are always constantly using their profit to start and upgrade a business. And that shouldn't be the case. You should be able to go get loans from banks. You should know enough rich people to ask for an investor. And that's basically what he did. So, there's a lot of theories out there about brother Ice Cube. And, I haven't seen nothing that really sticks. So we just gonna sit back and watch. I'm a watcher more than I just like to take a glance at a situation and judge. So let's just be diligent about that. At least with our own people. These heathens, you could just toss them all in a big basket of wickedness and keep it moving. But for my people, I like to give them the benefit of the doubt. And two, there's so much overwhelming evidence. I don't have no choice but to trash them. So anyway, I like another thing that happened this week that really caught my eye. It was like really hilarious, and it was like really hilarious, and I just like the way he handled this situation. So there was a situation where Donald Trump's son, he tweeted a false picture of him, and let me see something right quick. Okay, I'm gonna refresh the page. Um, there was a situation that happened a couple of days ago. Oh no, it wasn't yesterday or the day before yesterday. I don't know, but the Donald Trump's son had tweeted a picture of him and Ice Cube together, and let's just say it was a doctored photo of them having hats on, Trump hats, and really kind of sick how the president's son could be complicit in such fake news or whatever. But needless to say, Ice Cube had a 2-word checkmate for him for putting his name in something that he wasn't involved in. And let me see something. I'm trying to add that picture to the screen here. I thought it went through, but it didn't. Anyway, that little situation, he retweeted in it and said, "N-word, please, dot, dot, dot." So like I said, he's not really playing around with these people. He really isn't. And then Twitter ended up having to delete it. And that was a pretty embarrassing moment for the Trump campaign. And let's just say that I guess they'll think twice in ever incorporating their campaign in a tweet without somebody's permission, because they don't understand the kind of backlash this people get in the Black community when we feel that somebody's betrayed us. And a brother like Ice Cube don't want to be affiliated with supporting somebody who's like being an open racist like that. So needless to say, he was ticked off about it. I don't know why this isn't updating, but probably should not have messed with it in the middle of a broadcast. So let me just go ahead and move on from this point. So let's take a step into history to gain proper context of the matters at hand in modern day Mystery Babylon, so that we could gain understanding. This seal here, this seal is the royal crest of a town that was settled by 2 Negro Israelite families from the house of David and Eidos Negros, Portugal. And on the crest, it has vines and branches. There's a lot of scriptures about I am divine, you're the branches. I'm divine, you're the branches. And then it's like really weird that the name of the town was Eidos Negros, and the trending hashtag in the 400th year anniversary of our time here, during the election season of the 400th year, is ADOS. And then so I think all of it is ironic, you know what I mean? And it's ironic that the ADOS movement for reparation has been trending for the last few years, being that the vast majority of so-called Black Americans are descendants of the inhabitants of ADOS Negroes, Portugal. Most of our ancestors were only brought to Africa for a few decades before being recaptured and transported to America. They, when they kicked us out of Spain and Portugal and throughout Europe, when they placed us in Africa on their colonies, they had only had been there since the like 1470s, so they had made some little like plantations and stuff like that, but they was really looking for their outcast citizens to be almost like agents between them and the Africans. But what they started doing was running away and marrying the Africans and living in the villages. So around 1518, Emmanuel, King Emmanuel, he wrote a law, saying that we would, they was going to start paying African kings to turn over the Israelites, and capture them. And that's how it went from being like colonizing Africa to rounding up all of their black, as they call them, the black Jews, and sending them to the Americas. So there's another, if you look at my are Black Americans the descendants of the House of David article, it goes into greater details about that matter on that website. So I don't want to get too sidetracked. So let's get back to Revelations 18:2 and how it relates to the rulers of America, aka Mystery Babylon. Okay, it wasn't until recently that I found out who these unclean and hateful birds were from Revelations 18:2. There's a demonic coalition of wicked heathens who have crafty alliances with highly organized satanic orders. These orders possess symbolic names and seals that contain various predatory occulted serpents and birds. The first one that we will have a look at is a mythological feathered serpent, which is called a basilisk. The basilisk is on the coat of arms of the infamous Agrippa family court. So first, we will have a look at this family because you are going to be shocked at how ancient this blood is. Now, this lesson is going to start getting very deep. If you want to pause right here and, take a break and do something and come back, this will be a good stopping point. So that you could be able to pick up, because now we're going to get into the deep history of the Edomite heathens that rule the world, okay? So let's continue. So this is the seal, and as you can see in the middle, there's like a feathered serpent. That's the basilisk. It takes various forms depending on the artwork of the seal or whatever, but it's just usually like a serpent with like kind of like spikes on the back with like some feathers on it with like a beak. Really kind of creepy creature, and that's what they always put on their family seal. He got a knife and scales with the sun and the moon, and all other kind of little stuff, but mostly that serpent is what you're going to find on these family crests. Okay. One of the most prominent families of the former Roman Empire still exists today as the very secretive Order of the Fly, under the secretive family name Agrippa. They were also known as Serpent Kings. The Agrippa court has a long history of powerful and influential wizards, either in positions of authority themselves or the advisors, influencers, and thought leaders of those nominally in charge. Now, let's take a quick sidebar on this word thought leader and influencers and advisors. Thought leaders is something that heathens have been using for centuries, like ever since even like the Roman Empire days. They always had like these think tanks of people that was like in the ear of people of power, and every king always has somebody influencing them. And these people, they not, at times they are the king, but also at times they have chosen the king, or they influenced the king, or they was always on the court or something like that. So when I tell you, like, even today, since there are not that many kings left, when you hear about all these cabinets in Washington D.C., these cabinet members and all of these advisors and stuff that don't get elected, that you never see in the news, that really like say, you're going to do this, we're going to do that, and you don't have no choice, you better do it. These are the kind of people I'm talking about. Now, I know a lot of people say, the world is ran by those, whatchamacallit-ish people, and they the one who rule the world. That's a yes or no statement, because actually the scope is a lot broader than that. Though that family that starts with the Roth whatever family, they they actually are new money on the scene. They didn't start really coming into money until the 1700s. And when they did, they was like really ostentatious and flamboyant with their spending, and they kind of rubbed their money in everybody's face. But due to their wealth, they married into these old bloodlines of old money. So when they say old money, they're not talking about a family bloodline of a few hundred years. They talking about like they got thousands, a few, at least 2,500 years or of like documented ancestral history. You know what I mean? So, needless to say, the Agrippa court got their hands in more things than that Roth whatever family. Okay. So Jeremiah 49:10 said, "But I have made Esau bare, and I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not." Now, back in the days when people were like Israelites and stuff, they probably like had a general idea of who Esau was. And if you was knowledgeable of the right people, you probably got the, who is Esau Edom book that was published, or you may have known somebody that knows somebody to tell you what to read. But in the last days is really kind of now where like this is almost borderline common knowledge amongst awakened people. If you like are willing to, it's easy to find. You just Google it. You don't have to find somebody that knows somebody where that could give you a book to read. Like you literally go online to get all this information for free. Or you can just order it online on Amazon and be in your house in less than a week. So definitely Esau has been made bare in these last days. They cannot hide anymore. People have pieced together the information. There's no hiding anymore. You are exposed. It's over. You might as well accept it. So this heathen right here, this is in Henricus Cornelius Agrippa. And he is he's very infamous in occultism. Okay, he's a part of that Agrippa bloodline, and he was from 1486 to 1535. He was a Catholic monk from the Benedictine order. The Benedictine order was an order of Catholic monks. They lived in monasteries, and they was supposed to be Christians, but they really was witches. Okay. So he was primarily known for his influential works in occultism. It's called his most influential work in occultism, which is called the Three Books of Philosophy. It was very influential from his time onwards. Even Aleister Crowley even like built his whole ministry around that book, heavily influenced. People being ministers just to turn into witches. In fact, I saw an article today shared by somebody, I think Pastor Dowell shared an article today about a woman who used to be a Christian pastor and she became a stripper witch or something. And she having like live streams of her stripping for her members and call it a sacred ritual. So, I mean, Christianity is not far from witchcraft for these heathen. So it's a like nice, smooth, even easy heathen transition, So another book that this guy written other than the Three Books of Occult Philosophy is this book called Female Preeminence, or the dignity and excellency of that sex above the male. So this is one of those divine feminine theology occultic books that kind of explain some of the occultic symbolisms of the divine feminine, and some of the things that was in this book actually talked about the basilics, which is why I used it as a reference. So it was published in 1539. Like I said, the cult philosophy of the divine feminine. It gives a breakdown of these heathen symbolisms of birds and serpents in their history and traditions. Now, I didn't include the passage in the paragraph above the one in the book. There was a paragraph previous to this passage I didn't include because I didn't want to make the article too long, but it talked about the eagle and the phoenix are actually female symbols. Okay, that I did not know. Okay, so they say the eagle, it's more or less affiliated with Western powers like Europe and United States. Well, the United States wasn't a place at the time this book was written, but definitely Western powers like in Europe uses the eagle on some of their symbolism. But they said the phoenix was more like a symbolism of Egypt. So they just have a lot of symbolism in everything that they do. And the bacillus is a symbol of the Serpent Kingdom. So it says like in this book, it's not like a theory. It's like that definitely something that this guy who's of this bloodline wrote in his book. So I'm gonna read this excerpt from Female Preeminence by Cornelius Agrippa, which was published, what it says, 1529. The king of serpents, who they call the basilisk, is the most mortal of all poison, is always and cannot be but a male, but as the more proper receptacle of venom and destructive qualities. Okay, so they worship this king of serpents. This basilisk is something that they venerate. Okay, they know that he's venomous and destructive, but they worship it and they pattern his mythological characteristics after their lifestyle and the way they order their families, right? So, whereas the excellency and innocency of this other sweet natured sex is talking about the divine feminine, which we here recommend. They say, oh, we recommend the divine feminine, but it is hence abundantly manifest in that all those black crimes and crying enormities which incense heaven and infest earth derive their pedigree from men. So they say, we like the divine feminine, but we understand the power of the divine male, even though he's the more destructive one. They and look at how he used the word, the black crimes. The heathens like to use like word sorcery, where they have a word phrase that has double meaning. So they might it means black crimes, like evil crimes, but they're literally committing black crimes against black people, because Europe was always an integrated country that had like a certain percentage of black people. Like in some places it was like up to 1/4 to 1/2 of the inhabitants was black. And I definitely, Portugal was mostly black. So this next under this next picture, we have a description of what the heathens say about the blood of the bacillus. They called the blood of the bacillus the blood of Saturn. You see a lot of Saturn worship in the Catholic Church, with the creepy little black robes and stuff like that. The color of Saturn worship is black. So, and then when you graduate from college, you got to wear, even high school, you got to wear the black robe, because that's like a Saturn worship ceremony. And your cap for your gown is like made like a square, because the black cube is the symbol of Saturn. So like they have like a demonic, like they code a lot of their demonic beliefs into everything that they do, even the most benign things. So they saying that this blood of Saturn has such a great force in sorcery that he that carries it with him has good success when he petitioned great men in power. So they always have to, the Agrippa court, if they're not in power, they're in power in influence as well. So they believe that this serpent blood, that's why they talk about blue blood and bloodlines and lineage a lot, because they feel like they got to keep the bloodline of the serpent pure in their, what I'm saying, so they can continue to be in high places and influential power. If they start mixing their blood too much with common people, then they would lose their connection to Satan, basically, so to speak. So they say that having the blood of Saturn, they get their prayers heard from who they believe is God, which is really Lucifer and Beelzebub. And it also remedies diseases and grants any privilege. So I don't know if anybody remember, but Philadelphia had changed their logo to a segmented cut up serpent. So look, you see the same symbolism in this picture. It goes because Benjamin Franklin was a part of the Hellfire Club, which was like this kind of like very blasphemous club, sex club, where they just did all kind of disgusting things and stuff. And it was like one of them overindulgent, secretive heathen clubs or whatever. But anyway, that's what Philadelphia decided to venerate or commemorate the birthday the anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence or something. And I was like, dang, they just putting a cult serpent symbolism right there on the basketball court. Got all these Israelites, all these Hebrew men playing on the court, running over this serpent. So yeah, That's really weird. Anyway, these heathens embrace the serpent king identity because whereas the divine feminine symbolizes all the good and beauty in the world in their eyes, even though they say that the divine feminine is more pleasant to the eyes and sweet, all evil is derived from men according to them. But therefore, they not only identify with the serpent from the Garden of Eden, they also venerate Cain as their ancestor, the world's first murderer, as the one who unlocked the gates of hell. So, like I said, they know that the bacillus is evil, but they see his form of evil as being a necessary evil because they feel like through the evil they accomplish good. You'll see that, you know what I'm saying, a lot in their doctrine, that you know that doctrine of necessary evil. You know, as long as the evil that, like, think about how they just tore up all these countries in the world, even in the last 20 9/11. They sleep very well at night because they look at what they're doing as necessary evils. So John chapter 8 and verse 44, this is when Messiah was rebuking the Pharisees. The Pharisees of that time, though a lot of those was Edomite converts, as well as Roman converts to Judaism. Once they took over that Judea, a lot of the governors that was placed into power were Edomites. Okay, they was so they converted to Judaism and they took over like the temple, politics and all that kind of stuff. And most of the people that the Messiah was rebuking when he came here, at least the people in power at the time, was converts. So look at this verse right here, John chapter 8 verse 44. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, before he is a liar and the father of it. When I started back studying the word on a consistent, regular basis, without even trying, this was one of the first verses I memorized by heart, because it just kind of like, it just stirred my ruach so much when I read it, that I think like maybe the first or second time, it just became like, I was just like ingrained in me, because, I was going through so much racism at the time. And, it just kind of like lets me know what I was really up against out here. And yeah, definitely, I love that scripture, and that explains why he was saying things like that, murderer from the beginning, because he abode not in the truth. These people, these heathens, they actually venerate Cain as their ancestor. You see that a lot in their books. And honestly, I could not post all of my sources, because like I said, this article would be way too long if I did that. But let's keep it moving. But yeah, when they was talking about venerating Cain as an ancestor, that's also in this book right here, Female Preeminence. So let's get on to Herod Agrippa II. As stated earlier, the Agrippa family is a very ancient family. Their origins are in Idumea, and they are descendants of the Herodian dynasty. When the Edomites were conquered by the Hasmonean ruler Yehochanan Hyrcanus, that's the time period he was alive, 134. That's the time period that when the Edomites ruled over Judea. Okay, they was ruled over. They was conquered by the Hasmonean ruler. The Hasmoneans reigned. Sorry, okay, I'm getting tired. The Hasmoneans reigned during the time period of 134 to 10 BCE. Okay, and when they conquered the region, they put the Edomites in charge, right? And then they was forced to convert to Judaism. So the monarchs from this line began with Herod the Great, okay, and that was his time period that he lived, and he died in 4 BCE, and it ended with Herod Agrippa II. He was born like in the year 27, which was like 6 years before the Messiah was crucified, and he passed away at around 100, okay, or 92, they don't know. But anyway, that's like a little seal with his inscription in it. So he was an Edomite. He was put in power by the his people was put in power uh, when they was when that region was conquered by the Hasmonean dynasty. Okay. So this is the dynasty of the Serpent Kings that were ruling over the Israelites in Judea when Yahushua HaMashiach or Yahushua HaMashiach was crucified. As you can see, these heathens have a long history of oppressing our people. So the same people that were involved in bringing out the witchcraft with the occultism in the 15th century through Cornelius Agrippa is the same family that was in power when Yahushua HaMashiach was crucified. Okay, these are Edomites. These are the people, the Edomites that was put in power, that governed Judea for like about 200 years. Okay, during that time period. So there are demonic ancestral spirits driving white supremacy. Okay, that goes far deeper than anything going on in the American election. So that's why, like, you got to have some historical context of what you're dealing with and how long it's been going on, so that you can take your prayer life so seriously. That's why I don't like. That's why they don't like Black people knowing their history. It keeps us in a childlike state, generation after generation, completely blindsided by the evil we encounter from them. If our people knew how many thousands of years they tried to destroy us, they wouldn't be so hopeful for change. So, although I appreciate brothers like Ice Cube for going out there, and stuff like that, like, we don't have no choice but they try to at least kind of loosen the yoke little by little. So we gonna need brave brothers like that. But the final kind of like retribution we're gonna have to get is gonna have to be divine intervention. But more Ice Cubes and the more righteous brothers that we could get to start speaking out against these heathens, the battle is unshackling our minds. Okay, so let's circle back to more recent history to see who inspired the descendant of the Herodian dynasty, Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa, to go down the path of witchcraft and sorcery in the 16th century for nearly 1,500 years after the last Herodian king, Agrippa II. So this guy is the ancestor of this guy from the 15th century. Okay, this guy died around 100 AD. He was 6 years old when the Mashiach was crucified, and this is his great grandson, right? So this guy was heavily influenced by this guy, this heathen. Okay, so this guy is like kind of like the guy that got the wheel spinning for these heathens to kind of like merge and organize their form of occultism, through merging it with Catholicism. So like almost like the priestly class of Catholics are like pretty much witches. You know what I mean? So let's meet Johannes Trithimus, who was a Catholic monk from the Benedictine order. Okay. So he lived from 1462 to 1516. So 1492, when our people was kicked out of Europe, he was around 30 years old. Okay, so he was right in the peak of his age, right? And then he died about 2 years before they started shipping us out of Africa into the Americas. Okay, at least in the Caribbean and South America. Okay, so he merged Catholicism with witchcraft, magic, and sorcery. His ritual works revolutionized heathenistic satanic practices that are still used against our people until this day. Trithimus was also an advisor of emperors, a cryptographer, a lexicographer, a chronicler, and a legendary magician. He was also the author of the legendary book Stenographia, which is about sorcery, divination, magic, witchcraft, and most notably the summoning of spirits. Now, I don't really recommend nobody hunt down this book. Got a few little weird Israelites out there that always seem like they like borderline witches. And so, like, you go around trying to find a copy of this book, Summoning Spirits. I ain't recommended it. Okay, I'm not interested in just knowing the ins and outs of occultism. I just cite the sources of where they get the information from. And this book was published in 1499 and has influenced numerous satanic occultic doctrines. And people have even gotten, themselves hurt and killed trying to summon these spirits. So don't play around with it. So it influenced the works of many generations of demonic heathens, including Cornelius Agrippa, Paracelsus, John Dee, Aleister Crowley, and Jack Parsons. Okay. So this is a copy of the book, the 3 books of occult philosophy that Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa wrote that influenced also. So Stenographia, the 3 books of occult for philosophy, are the 2 kind of there's the heathen Bibles of occultism, right? These are their go-to for everything, especially this book right here. This book right here is when you're really serious about trying to conjure up spirits, okay? And this book is just kind of like an explanation type book. It kind of explains the symbolism. So like I said, these are just the books that was translated in English. They got way more stuff than this, but it's all in Latin. So maybe one day later on in my life, once I finish learning stuff of everything about my language and people, I will learn a little bit more Latin so I could get into more of those histories books, as well as ancient Portuguese is a good language to learn. Okay, so the star pupil of Johannes Trithimus, who is Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa. We've talked about him several times. He wrote a book series entitled The 3 Books of Occult Philosophy, which heavily influenced Johannes John Dee, who lived from 1527 to 1608. So this guy was born 10 years after Trithimus died, right? And when did Agrippa die? Cornelius Agrippa passed away in 1535. So basically, this guy was 6 years old when Agrippa died. So like I said, none of these guys was even around like that by the time he got grown. But nevertheless, he learned a lot of his philosophy and theology from their works. So this is John Dee. He was the advisor of Queen Elizabeth, right? I covered him more in detail in my last Ice Cube video. So if you want to have more information on him, refer to that article, a few articles back. But anyway, John Dee developed something called Enochian magic, which later developed into Rosicrucianism, which is basically Christian witchcraft. For a period of time, it was also the official religion of Freemasonry until it evolved into full-blown theosophy, which is basically Luciferianism. Okay. Now, especially on the higher levels, they definitely read those Albert Pike books, that talks about Luciferianism. Okay. So John Dee used rituals from various sources to conjure up what he initially believed were angels, but after much calamity over the years, he came to realize they are actually demons. So the works of Trithimus, Celsus, Cornelius Agrippa, and John Dee laid firm foundations for ritual magic during the beginning of the transatlantic Hebrew slave trafficking Holocaust. I use that phrase a lot because I don't like just slave trade. It just seemed we're just commodities that was traded with slave trade. You ain't traded nothing. You was trafficking us. So stop calling it trade like it's commerce, okay? And also, our name is not slave. We were Hebrews. We had an identity. So stop dehumanizing us and treating us as cargo and referring to us as slave trades. I'm a descendant of a slave because that's what happened to us. But if we're going to talk about the full atrocity of what happened, let's call it some kind of trafficking or Holocaust. Let's give a stronger word for that. But you're not going to call me trade. Trade is what homosexuals do when they pick up a guy to go do their thing. You know what I'm saying? Like sex actions and stuff like that. You're not going to call me trade, okay? You're going to call, because humanize this thing that happened to us. But the heathens like to make euphemisms for what they did to kind of appease their own, conscience. But, I try not to say slave trade. Something about that word trade that kind of triggers me because I know a lot of homosexuals use that word, and I'm just not cool with that being referred to when it comes to my ancestors. So anyway, it took a tremendous amount of demonic activities to get Black Americans where they are today spiritually. And it's going to take even greater holy effort on our part to break these strongholds. So so that's the reason why when Paul was writing these letters, like he was speaking in code, right? Because now that when you talk about these heathens and what we're up against, and all these coat of arms with all these serpents on it, and they're serpent kings, and they're proud to be, seeds of Satan, seeds of Cain, and they just venerate being evil, and they know that's what's required to get things done. It brings the proper context of this scripture, because he had to write in code, because he couldn't just be like, oh, the serpent kingdom of the Herodians this. He couldn't name drop like that in a bad way. He had to be real careful, because he had to stay alive long as he could to get the ministry out. So when he write little like verses like this, now you know who he was talking about. So it says, put on a whole armor of Yah, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of Yah, that ye may be able to withstand the evil day, having done all to stand. Okay? So, principalities. I mean, that's what we just went over. Like, there's a lot of principalities and powers that we're up against. The rulers of the darkness of this world, these are like literally they're being puppet mastered by demons. Like, yeah, you don't wrestle not against flesh and blood. Like, so now don't get so caught up in, like, yeah, racism is real. Yeah, it is, like, to a certain extent, a lot about race, but you gotta look at this like it's a angel versus demons war, not just white versus black. You know what I mean? We're the angels, we're the Malachim, and they're the demons. So this is war. It's like a holy war. So you can't just make it just about a race war. Okay. So now let's look at some Italian families in the Serpent Kingdom. So this is gonna blow your mind, some of this stuff right here. So this is a Bision or a Vipera, which is a serpent in the act of, and he's in an act. This serpent is in an act of consuming a human in the form of a child. It's usually a Moor or a black person, and sometimes depicted as a Saracen, which is an Arab Muslim. The symbol was adopted as the insignia of the Visconti family, which ruled Milan beginning in 1277. So, it's kind of wicked. And this is more recent history, even though this family bloodline started in 1277. As you can see, they still also exist until this day. So, like, basically all of the Edomite bloodlines, or the Serpent King bloodlines, that Edomites have made it with a lot of tribes other than just Javon. So when I say Edomites, I'm just talking about the forefathers of these people, but they've intermarried with other people since then. So let's not get distracted. Okay. So anyway, they're bragging about the serpent consuming a baby. So this goes back, they know they're fulfilling prophecy, right? Because, Revelation talks about the serpent waiting to devour the child as soon as it was being born. I mean, the dragon or whatever. So they know who they are. They know that they're here to consume the black person. Okay, so they put it on their insignia. Okay. So this is a passage, Isaiah 14:29, about the basilisk. It kind of is like letting you know that the basilisk is the fruit of the serpent. So they look at the serpent as the father, and they're the children. Okay, so every time they use this symbolism, they're basically saying we're the children of the serpent. Okay, they're not, you know what I'm saying? They're the children of the devil. It's just, they're proud of it. So rejoice not, O Palestine or Philistia, because the rod of him that smote you is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. So he's saying that the serpent gives birth to the cockatrice, okay? And the fruit of the serpent is a flying fiery serpent. So that's the reason why them as the children of the serpent, they look at themselves as like an upgraded serpent that could fly and got feathers, and so it's just really strange symbolism. And they put it in the Bible, and this stuff was written thousands of years ago. So you already know who we dealing with. These people been around a long time, okay? So this scripture lets you know that the fiery flying feathered serpent, the bacillus, is the offspring or fruit of the serpent. Okay, they use this symbolism because they are proud to be the fruits of Satan. So this is like a cartoon picture of a cockatrice. It's pretty crazy looking, wicked creature. So according to the scripture, a cockatrice is the offspring of the serpent. Okay, and the top ruling families of the Edomite royal bloodlines use this as a mascot on their coat of arms. So any kind of scripture that's talking about cockatrice, fiery flying serpents, the fiery flying serpent is the basilisk, and then you got the cockatrice. So these basically are like offsprings, like the children of Satan, right? So the Sforza serpent dynasty of Milan, Italy, uses both the cockatrice and the serpent, consuming the blackamoor child on their coat of arms. These heathens are sick, and they show how much they hate us by sporting this image so proudly for generations until this day. So this is like an actual photo of an actual insignia of this Visconti Sforza family in Milan, and you can see that it has a cockatrice on their coat of arms in the dark yellow, and then in the little white section it has a blue serpent consuming a black child. So I'm telling you, these people take it very seriously what they plan to do with our people from generation to generation. Like I say, this branch of the bloodline of the Edomite bloodline, this branch has been in power since the 1200s. Okay, so this family, like these people are organized. They pass father to son, tremendous amount of information about people. So I say the ruling class know who we are. You know what I'm saying? You know how many hits I got on my website as soon as I started posted from Eastern Europe? Like these people, like they really keep an eye on who knows who they are. Okay, so don't take it for granted the people that are putting themselves at stake getting this information out, because these people are watching us. Okay. So when Filippo Maria Visconti died in 1447 without a male heir, Francesco the First Sforza, 1401 to 1466, who married Filippo's illegitimate daughter Bianca Maria Visconti, assumed control of Milan. So basically this guy, this the head of the family at the time, Filippo Visconti, when he died, he didn't have a male heir, because these heathens tend to like mix and mingle and amongst themselves, like almost like on an incestuous level. They marry their cousins a lot, generations after generation. Their DNA gets kind of weak, and then eventually the man cannot produce a viable male heir. Like either the children keep dying in childbirth or as small children, and just the health of the bloodlines slowly declines, right? So that's what happened with this bloodline. So it was the female illegitimate daughter who married a powerful man, and that male that she married kind of merged his bloodline with the Visconti bloodline, so they became one family. So that's the reason why this coat of arms, the blue serpent with the little black child in the mouth, that's the Visconti seal, and the eagle, what is it, the cockatrice seal comes from the original Sforza seal. So when they merged their families together, they just merged their logos together. So all this, like how basketball teams has logos and stuff, and just like branding. So just think about these celebrities branded their families. They come up with their logo and stuff. So that's where they get those ideas from, because this is how they've been doing for thousands of years, right? So let's move on. The Sforza Serpent King family was instrumental players in the Catholic Church. Their role in initiating the Inquisition and transatlantic Hebrew trafficking Holocaust cannot be overstated. These heathens were also instrumental in whitewashing the image of the Messiah, including the image, using the image of Cesare Borgia, the homosexual incestuous son of the Pope. In fact, they played a key role in getting his father, Rodrigo Borgia, elected as Pope Alexander VI. So when I say this serpent family is powerful, they're powerful. They picked the Pope whose son's image was used to rebrand the image of the Messiah into a white man. okay, that was worshiped until this day. So like when I say this bloodline is powerful, they're powerful. It's not even like over exaggerating their power. They literally have their family's influence literally changed the course of history, and you will see as we continue. So this guy Ascanio Maria Sforza Visconti, 1445 to 1505, he was a Italian cardinal of the Catholic Church, right? So we got this Sforza Visconti guy, as you can see, he used both last names, right? This is his family seal. Anyway, this guy, he was a cardinal in the Catholic Church. So they actually hold positions important positions in the Catholic Church, this family, right? They also help elect the Pope, right? So this guy, he played a major role in the election of Rodrigo Borgia. He was the one who got the guy in power, whose son's image that is used for the Messiah's rebranded whitewashed picture. This guy right here from this bloodline helped get him elected as Pope. He served as vice chancellor to the Roman Catholic Church from 1492 to 1505 when he died. Now, you see, it's all starting to come together. 1492, that's the year that the Black Jews was kicked out of Spain and Portugal, right? So this family rebranded the Messiah with the same guy that got that Pope elected, was the same guy that was in power when our people was kicked out. So when I say the Catholic Church been active for a long time, they have. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. When Ice Cube is like going up against white supremacy, he got to have the whole picture. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Somebody shared this video with him, um he got to have and he probably already knows a lot of this information. I'm not going to say he don't know, because he studied a lot of history, but like you got to kind of know who you're dealing with when you approach him. Um so keep in mind that the Black Jews was kicked out of Spain and Portugal with the full support of the Pope and the Catholic Church in 1492, which is also the time that this heathen Ascanio Sforza Visconti was vice chancellor of the Catholic Church. Okay, so this family has been instrumental in reshaping history, you know what I'm saying, and rewriting history. So here we have an excerpt from the book America Being the Latest and Most Accurate Description of the New World. It was published in 1671 by John Oligby. Most awakened Israelites is very familiar with this passage, but anyone who isn't awakened, have a look it up. It's for free online, but it costs like $60,000 if you buy it. So good luck with that. So this source shows that Black Jews was banished from Portugal and sent to work on the west coast of Africa in 1492. The same year that Ascanio Maria Sforza Visconti took office as vice chancellor of the Catholic Church. So we're going to start with this excerpt right here. King John II in 1492 expelled all the Jews to the island of St. Thomas, which had been discovered in 1471, and to other Portuguese settlements on the coast of Africa. Okay, he expelled all the Jews to Africa, and from these banished Jews, the Black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews of Loango, who are despised even by the very Negroes, who are despised even by the very Negroes, are descended. So they saying like, look, everybody despise these Black Jews. You know what I'm saying? The people on the continent despise them. The people who continent they was kicked out of despise them. Like these people was despised by everyone. Even inhabitants of Africa, have some genetic connection to these Black Jews, but everybody despised these European Black Jews when they was brought to Africa. Okay, they couldn't find any place to hide from like their enemies, and that's how we are to this day. Like we don't really have a country anymore. So the Most High, we was ran out of our own country. We've been on the run for like over about 2,000 years and stuff. So here's another excerpt from the same book that talked about how in 1492 the king of Portugal sold the Negro Jews as slaves who refused to embrace the Roman religion and took their children from them. So You got John the Third in the excerpt I'm reading right here. John the Third, King of Portugal, sent a colony thither above 200 years before, whom the whole whom though the old unwholesome air destroyed, yet the place was not left desolate, for he sent new inhabitants who first settled in Guinea, next in Angola, and lastly in St. Thomas. So those are the places that they colonized, and they when they banished their people, they sent them to those places. That so they might be better used to the air. They talking about like Negroes are very used to the hot climates because the white people just died like crazy. That's like one of the political reasons why they kicked them out of Spain at that point, because they needed like slaves to work on these colonies they was trying to inhabit in West Africa. You know, they couldn't just bust up on Africans and make them work. They were like, hey, nah, we'll kill you. So what they tried to send their own poor people over there to work, and they just died off. So they finally just conjured up all these old Inquisition charges and did like, you know, the Inquisition against our people, and sent them to Africa to work. But what ended up happening after a few decades of that, either they was hoping that the people would just act like, you know, Portuguese citizens in Africa and like kind of like work as like agents to like help create alliances between them and the Africans. But they said, shoot, I don't want to be over here with you. I'm going over here with the Africans. So they started running away. So that's the reason why they started rounding us up and sending us to the Americas, right? So they can like have control over us, too far away from anybody that can help us. So anyway, it says that they are better used to the air. So here we go. That the said king sold all those Jews for slaves that refused to embrace the Roman religion, and caused their children to be baptized, from whom coming thither in great numbers, most of the present inhabitants are descended. So this book was written about 120 by 150 years after these incidents. No, it's like almost like 175 years after these incidents had occurred. So he's saying almost all the inhabitants of the west coast of Africa are descendants of the Jews that was kicked out of Spain and Portugal. Right. So, you know, just like I said about the Edomites, you don't, for the most part, the ruling class are the Edomites. And I would say the same thing about Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. Most Africans are Israelites. You know what I'm saying? When you look at it, you know, the population, we've been living amongst each other for so long that it's really hard to distinguish Israelite from a Hamite. You know what I'm saying? So just treat everybody good and judge the fruits of the spirit. So let's keep it moving, okay? If that wasn't enough proof, now we have familiarized ourselves with the bacillus, feathered flying serpent creature. Think about the name of the largest church in the world, the St. Peter's Basilica. Man, I wowed out when I saw this connection. Yeah, the truth has been hiding in plain sight. We just didn't know the meaning behind the word basilica. And think about it. These popes are responsible for like wiping away our history of our people and sending us into slavery, right? His home base is called a basilica. You know what I'm saying? And they're the seeds of the serpent, and they call their house like a basilica. So, you know, it's just like they like probably make fun of people being too stupid to put this stuff together. So this word is derived from bacillus. So does that make the Pope a serpent king as well? Heck yeah, man! This heathen been coming out every day this week with blasphemy. Everybody can get married no matter what your orientation is. Atheists can make it to heaven. What's another thing he said that was crazy? He's just been talking crazy. He said one time, "Yes, I am the devil." Ha ha ha. You know what I'm saying? They make those crazy like little Edomite church songs where they with the classical music in the background singing to Lucifer. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't stop how much they try to convince us, yeah, we're the devil. And then, you know, you got people that will argue with their own people trying to defend them. It's just sorcery. It's sorcery, it's witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? The kind of mind games they play and our people believe it. So the answer, it's obvious for those who has common sense to see what's right before us. You know, it's common sense for people like me, but like when you bring stuff like this to like normal people, like they just be like bugged out, like, oh no, that can't be true. Like it's not true. Look it up. Don't believe me. You know what I'm saying? Don't just take what I say is gospel and just believe it. Look all this stuff up for yourself, okay? So you can see what's going on. So you stop trying to play mind games with yourself, okay? So they like to play on words a lot. That's called word sorcery because these heathens encode several meanings into a single word through spelling. That's why they call it spelling, because the words cast a spell on you. Because whereas they saying it means one thing, they know it means another thing. Okay, so there's no secret at this point why we weren't allowed to read for hundreds of years. I mean, can you blame them? Like, how can you reset the course of history unless you take the people you're trying to oppress and remove them from all forms of education? Now, they will have you to believe that prior to recent years, nobody was writing and reading much of anything, and there's no records of what happened in slavery. And as it turns out, there's all kinds of books. I mean, I'm like shocked. Like when I get in the mood to start digging into history research and going down a rabbit hole, I get shocked about how much stuff I find for free online to read. And it's just so much stuff that I would just, man, I was talking to my throat locked up, making videos of the stuff I've read. I got a library of like 200 or 300 books of just all kinds of stuff, just online alone, not including like physical books that I have. It's just too much information. And that's not even like a shred of a tip of an iceberg of what's really out there. That's just only what I've been able to find. And, it's not like I do this like 24/7. I do it a lot, but it's just a lot of stuff out there. So, our people was forced into the dark ages for hundreds of years because of this, and then no records of what happened to us were given to us. Everything is like, I don't know all the time. And we don't know how we ended up in the United States. It's just like we woke up from a big old sleep and we're in the United States. And we're told like this cockamamie story about, Africans in the jungle or something. Like, huh? So like, oh, I feel greater than just running around in the jungle. It seems like, gosh, like everybody in the world has a history, but us, I guess we are inferior. And then it kind of creates like this childlike state, generation after generation, because we never mature enough to understand what's going on around them. So we kind of sound like kids when we having meetings with these teams, like, can you give me this and get this? And our people have the right to have that. And they're like, you know how many people I killed to get control of the world? You think I'm just gonna hand you reparations? Reparation, get out of my face, nigga. You are not getting no reparation. That's what they want to say, but deep down inside, they just giggle. They're like, dog, man, these people really ain't got the common sense to at least read to find out who they are, to reason and understand why we're not giving them reparation. Like, I'm just gonna tell you, like, it feels good to have people go out there and talk about stuff, get you kind of energized a little bit. But come on now, these about to do that without divine intervention, okay? It took a tremendous amount of demonic power to successfully carry out a scheme like this. But the secret is out now for anybody who's willing to listen. Nobody wants to listen. Okay, let's move on. Right? So let's backtrack a little bit and wrap things up. Thank goodness this is a lot of information in one article, right? So the Sforza dynasty is still the ruling class in Milan until this day. This family is directly responsible for starting the transatlantic Hebrew slave trade, and should be the first in line to cut the check. Why are they gonna cut? Come on now, these are the descendants of the Pope that sent us into slavery. You think they're gonna cut a check? Come on now, they'll kill everybody that they can before they do that. Most High would kill them all before they actually do that. But I'm just saying, if they could have killed us all, they would have. They really tried. But anyway, so this feather serpent symbolism of the Sforza dynasty is incorporated throughout Milan, including the automotive company Alfa Romeo, and you will see that symbolism on a lot of their cars over there. I guess that's like their Mercedes of Italy. So like they're not playing, like, and it's on the crest of the city. So like they acknowledge that they're very proud to be the family, you know what I'm saying, that kind of set the course of the modern world. And that this is the real New World Order was put in place by these people. Because when I say these people restructured the whole world to put their family in power and succeeded, we've been in a New World Order. That's why I giggle when folks say the New World Order is coming. Like, dude, like when you really think about it, the old world, we was the one in control, period. Okay, so I think this is fairly new to our people to be subjugated and oppressed like this. So this is the New World Order has been here. When these heathens talk about a New World Order, they talk New World Order for them when they subjugate their own people and put them in chattel slavery. But us, I guess they're gonna just start treating their common white people like a bunch of N-words, or whatever. But no, we've been on the bottom, so it ain't gonna be much of a difference for us. So it's just what it is. It can't get no worse than this. So thinking about, Milan's history and changing the course of world history. No wonder the coronavirus hit Milan so hard this year. You know what I'm saying? That was like one of the first cities outside of China to get it like that. It was really weird. Like, dang, what's going on in Milan? It was just like people like dropping like flies in just that city alone, and people all crying on the news, falling out, passing out, so upset about their family members dying. Some of that stuff is a psyop. I don't know how much I believe, but I definitely know a lot of people died in Milan. It's probably the Most High sent some type of plague over there, because whatever was killing people over there, I ain't seen people drop dead in the street over here like that. So I think they probably had something else. That's just my opinion. That was probably like a little play. Most of the high blew some kind of evil ruach on them that had them sick like that. But that's just my opinion. Okay, last picture. So this is a house of a former prime minister of the his name was Silvio Berlusconi. Anyway, in his yard he has like these serpent eating a black child on his. You know what I'm saying? It's all in his little landscaping or whatever. They kind of sick. You know what I'm saying? They really proud of what they accomplished. Look at all this pride. A nice little estate. Look at that front yard. Man, that front yard is big enough to build like a whole subdivision on. And black people barely get along for these little old tiny houses in these little subdivisions with no yard. And this heathens, look how these heathens live. And they got, depiction of what they did to your ancestors, the serpent with the crown on their head, a little black person. Shameful. So, in conclusion, to my question in the beginning, is he leading a spiritual warfare? Yes, it's a spiritual warfare, because this portion of the war is about waking our own people up. We're not going to receive reparations. Get that out your head. But what we're going to do is take this awakening mainstream so we can get more regular unconscious black people to start thinking about this stuff and researching this stuff and familiarizing themselves with their identity so they could be common knowledge to us who we are. It shouldn't just be a fringe movement where just only a teaspoon of black people know that they're Israelites, okay? And nobody should be falling for the propaganda, putting the most crazy, outrageous person all over the internet, cussing a white person out on the street corner and have everybody scared to listen to what Israelites got to say. We got to move out of that phase of this awakening. The going mainstream with the awakening is not about no heathens cutting a check for us. It's just about getting this information to our people on such a large scale that it becomes common knowledge. And once it becomes common knowledge and we have a shift of consciousness, then we start taking the Most High more seriously. And through our righteousness, we're able to rise above these heathens and deliver ourselves, and the Most High would deliver us from our oppression, because that wall would come up, that wall of protection would come up. I mean, well, they go down and shoot at you point blank range, and that bullet just bounce off of you. And don't think he can't do it. You know what I'm saying? It's all kind of weird stuff that happened throughout history, okay? For myself, I got testimonies of all kind of situations I could have died in. But Most High wants you here, you're gonna stay here. So you gotta stay strong. Give your life to Most High and repent. You know what I'm saying? Take this information serious. Your identity is something that the whole history of the world was built around keeping from you. Take it seriously. It's not about joining no religion. You don't have to see a single Israelite a day in your life. Okay. Now I say, if you find some people you click with, or congregation you click with, a camp or whatever you click with, cool. But that's not what your awakening is about. It's about changing your household, your bloodline, changing your lifestyle. It's about what you do the other 6 days of the week. My main problem with Israelites, it seems like they only get together on the Sabbath. That's like church folks. So you're a hell monster Monday through Sunday through Friday, but on Saturday you are holy, all about the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Let's get out of that. Let's have like communities where we're checking on each other throughout the week, watching each other, babysitting for each other, looking out for each other, helping each other out financially, teaming up together and start this as a family thing. It's about building a family. It's not about these old Hebrew church congregations all the time with these church mentalities that, in my opinion, they are kind of destroying this awakening, because they make it more like a religion than it is about family building. Do we treat each other like family, right? No, not right now. We act like a bunch of super educated church folks, and I'm sick of it. So let's keep it moving, because I get on that too. as well. We gotta act like family. So anyway, we're not going to get any reparation. That's the conclusion. But the spiritual warfare aspect, Ice Cube is definitely leading with that. Okay, it's a lot of black people that will listen to somebody like Ice Cube, then they'll listen to a nobody they never heard of. So when he started talking black to everybody about who he is and stuff like that, it's not going to become. It's not going to be swept under the rug, much longer. So it feels good to think about cut the check, and it doesn't hurt to try, I guess. However, keep in mind that no one is going to make that happen for us without the help of the Almighty. So although Ice Cube is a well-respected and powerful brother, I wouldn't count on him getting anything really done without divine intervention. I just pray that he knows what we're really up against, because the satanic order of this blind ride runs deep, like really deep, like really, 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 really deep, straight to the gates of hell. So I would always keep him in my prayers. So that's why, although I appreciate Ice Cube's gesture in approaching these heathens for reparations, I know that according to prophecy, is not going to happen until the Most High forces their hands. These heathens emerged from the dark ages with a vengeance so evil that there's no way that they will willfully and diplomatically relinquish their financial power. The Most High is about to go on a killing spree to get them to pay up. And I'm totally okay with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, every time I see, I've been so excited this year, seeing the world fall apart and everybody's panicking. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We gotta vote. Yeah, that's what we can do. We can vote. We can vote this guy out of office. It's Donald Trump's fault. No, it's kind of like, I already read in the Revelations that the evil is gonna reach a peak in the world and demonic forces is gonna be overthrown. So no matter who you vote for, guarantee them they're gonna be of this kind of serpentine agenda. Even if they're not of the bloodline, they definitely a puppet of the bloodline. So, just be righteous. It's as simple as that. Okay. So I'm not worried about getting a check. Honestly, Most High promised the world to me. He promised a whole country to me. So I care about a heathen currency check. So if they're in check, you know what I'm saying? I want rulership of my own land. I want to my own people to be in power. You know what I'm saying? An entire government of righteous brothers ruling over the whole country. That's what I want. I want a place that, what I'm saying, I could feel like the people that runs the country got my best interests at heart. I want people that I could trust ruling over me. I don't want no heathen that I gotta beg to cut me a little check for 400 years of free labor. That kind of heathen could burn in hell for all I care. So anyway, both of them could burn in hell. The orange one and the senile one. I don't care. Whatever this country want to do, they just gonna do it. So anyway, we're gonna conclude with this scripture, Psalms 137, 7-9. These kind of scriptures, it like a lot gives me life. It keeps me skipping. Scriptures like this have me energized enough to go for long walks for like 2 hours straight, listening to scriptures, basking in the glory of the Most High. Like scriptures like this have me so hopeful that when I see that heathen on the news or all these heathens running amok, acting crazy and racist, these are the kind of scriptures that I love. So Psalms 137, 7-9. Remember, O Yahuwah, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundations thereof. O daughter of Babel, who are to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewards you as you have served us. Happy shall he be that takes and dashes your little ones against the stones. Woo! See, that's the Elohim I worship. The Elohim I worship go on killing spree to deliver you when you righteous, okay? You ain't gotta be no gangster. You ain't gotta stockpile no weapons. You ain't gotta do all of that. The most gangster thing you could do to trigger the apocalypse is just start living right and doing right. The more people that call on the Most High's name, Yahuwah Elohim, okay? When you pray in that name, it shifts the whole energy in the universe, okay? You are connected. Take advantage of that. Say his real name and stop using these pagan titles of God and Lord. Because God comes from Got, Gott, which is a druid deity, okay? Stop calling him God. That's where you can start at. Stop calling him God and start calling his name by, even if you don't know how to say the whole name, just say Yah when you pray. Get used to saying that, okay? And then after that, just start cultivating your lifestyle around just trying to chip away at the wickedness in your life to the best of your ability. Because although it's not about, being able to follow the entire law and Torah to the T, because some things are kind of impossible over here. Nobody has a whole cow to sacrifice. Nobody, has all these different animals. And those animals are only symbols of something in the spirit realm anyway. So as long as you learn the spiritual lesson that you were supposed to learn from the thing that they saying in the Bible, then that's, that's the whole point. Keep the Sabbath, set apart a day about worshiping the Most High and spending time with Him. It's a date. It's a date that was set in stone from the very beginning. Keep it. Keeping the Sabbath alone shifts the whole energy in your universe. Okay, so take this thing seriously. Okay. Take your walk seriously. It shouldn't be an afterthought, and it definitely shouldn't be about running in a pack trying to find what clique you can get with. See what Hebrew clique you could form or organize or run up behind. Like let's get out of that clicky click thing and start like really like focusing on family building. Okay, we are families. You know what I'm saying? We should, so reach out to each other more, call each other, meet up on non-religious gatherings. Because when you get into this 1 day a week thing where it's a one-man show at the front of the stage and everybody's looking at him talking and then everybody peace out after that and don't really have nothing to do with each other, is that a family? You know what I'm saying? Like let's just get into the mind state that we are all relatives, okay? And we gotta love each other. So I mean, actually, I hate to cut this article short, and even though it's long, it's really short because like it's so much more information about this stuff that I can't share. I would just have to write a book, okay, and just put it in one form. But just for now, I'm working on a book, but it's going to be pretty deep. But it's going to take me a long time to finish it. So until then, I'm just going to post these little articles and stuff, and hope y'all can enjoy the research that I'm bringing out. And receive this message with blessed assurance that Almighty Yahuwah, our Father, has a plan to destroy the wickedness plaguing this world so that we can be free from these heathens once and for all. They who endure will receive reparations from the Most High Yah. Believe that. Shalom's and blessing Mishpachah. This is Yahudia Zion. Thank you. Thank you. If you made it to the end of this 2-hour video, I pray that you will receive the ruach of understanding, of love, of peace, of knowledge, of joy, and all of the fruits of the Spirit, so we can shine as lights in the world of children, as children of Yah, and make a difference in this world. Until then, till next time, it's just what it is. Peace out.